Hello, cloud community, and welcome back to our special series, Passport to Containers with the Google Cloud team. My name is Savannah Peterson, coming to you here from our Palo Alto studios. Super excited for this particular segment. As you know, we have a multi-part series going on, but today we're going to be talking about Cloud Run, serverless, and fashion. You're definitely not going to want to miss this interview. Gentlemen, thank you both so much for taking the time to hang out with me this morning. We are already having a good time.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, absolutely. Steren and Yunong, you guys have been working with Google for a long time. Bobby speaks excruciatingly high of you in the best way. Steren, I'm going to start with you since you're described as the godfather of Cloud Run. Tell the audience what it is, what it does, and what makes you the godfather.
All right. So yeah, I'm Steren Giannini. I'm the product lead for Google Cloud Run, and I happen to be one of the founding members of it. So literally in the room with a few people who asked, what if serverless was more than functions? You know, originally the term serverless was really anchored on functions as a service. But as we looked at the problem space, we realized, hold on, like, if you extract fundamentally what it means a fully managed infrastructure, on-demand scalability, you don't pay when you don't use it, a very good developer experience, but it doesn't necessarily have to mean functions. And what we started to realize is that at the same time, the software industry clearly agreed that containers were the packaging format for software. So we wondered, what if we took serverless, we took containers, two worlds that at the time really had nothing to do together. They were almost like fighting each other. 2017, 2018.
Oh, yeah.
You had like the Kubernetes crowd
right.
and the function as a service crowd, the serverless crowd, clearly saying you cannot mix the two. Internally at Google, people raised concern. No, you cannot say serverless containers. That doesn't make sense. And that's what we shipped. Like in 2018, 2019, we announced Google Cloud Run, after iterating on it privately for a while with early testers, and yeah, introducing a broader definition of serverless, but still capturing its essence. It's like productivity that it brings to customers is its high scalability, its efficiency, and yeah. After many years now, we've really evolved it. Cloud Run has grown from being a bet, a prototype, to something that is now Google Cloud's focus when it comes to serverless. We have so many reference customers that we are so proud of, and we have evolved Cloud Run quite a bit, which I'm looking forward to talking to you about.
Yeah, that must have been quite a moment. Did you feel like you shocked the market a little bit when you came out?
So definitely, we've observed other clouds responding to Cloud Run, probably like notably by launching products which were very much looking the same. And yes, indeed, I believe we have influenced creating some kind of a new category of serverless containers, as well as a little bit redefining and expanding the term serverless, which, as I said, again, at the beginning was very much functions and events.
I love
that. That has changed now.
You're preserving the value add there, but really broadening the application. You know, you've been working in serverless for a long time across clouds. What's so exciting about where we are now, and what are some of the myths around serverless?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked. I think the biggest myth, I would say, is that serverless doesn't scale, right? It's like great for your toy apps. It's great for when you're developing from 0 to 1, but it doesn't work from 100 to 1,000. And I think that is one of the biggest myths, and often that sets our customers and sort of the industry back. And what we're actually observing on service today is actually that you can grow and scale with serverless, especially on Cloud Run, where it's built on top of 20 years of infrastructure, right, development at Google. You know, last week we just had a customer scale to 2 million RPS in one single region on serverless.
Whoa.
Right, and so these are
That's
really
huge.
Web scale numbers that we're talking about. And I really, once and for all, want to sort of do away with the myth that serverless is only for sort of developers. No, it is great for web scale apps. It is great for hyperscalers. It is great for digital natives.
Why do you think there is that perception?
Right. I think it started with a few things. One, functions. Right. Functions isn't as great or as flexible of a runtime to really enable the large, robust applications. But then also, I think the mind shift of the industry is changing. And especially now you see, especially I think now with the AI revolution, there is such a big impetus for customers to go to market, right? Reduce the time to market, developer ergonomics. So now they're less focused on, do I need to go build my own platform that can support 2 million RPS versus what if I could just use Google's platform? What if I could just use Cloud Run? And I think with that expedited time to market pressure, all of your boards and CIOs are saying, when do I get my next LLM or when do I get my next Gen AI feature? That's really a forcing function for our customers to be like, okay, great, we're just gonna use Cloud Run, scale with it, and they're actually very happy with that.
I am not surprised, and having that industry knowledge as well as the breadth and depth that you all have as people make this pretty big transformation is a big deal. What about serverless and K8s?
Yeah, so I can talk a bit about that.
Yeah.
Because as we created Google Cloud Run, we also wanted to have a strong portability story. And so we actually launched, prior to Cloud Run, an open source project to allow people to run the same containers and API and autoscale services on top of Kubernetes. So to be very clear, Google Cloud Run is not running on Kubernetes. It is, as Yunong said, running on a highly scalable Borg infrastructure, which scales to, I think we did demos of from 0 to 10,000 service instances in 10 seconds. And
Wow.
for GPUs, by the way, we have the same kind of number that I'm looking forward to talking to you about. But basically, that being said, we still wanted people to be able to, if they wanted, to escape onto their own, onto Google Kubernetes engine or even into other clouds. First, containers are a standard packaging format. The container you deploy to Cloud Run has nothing proprietary about Cloud Run. That's a very unique value proposition. You can literally take it, you run it on your local machine, you run it on Kubernetes, you run it on another cloud, but hopefully you prefer to run it on Google Cloud Run because it's more efficient and highly scalable. So the container is portable, and we went even beyond that by offering a portable API. So the Cloud Run API, if you look at it, actually will remind you the Kubernetes API, and you can literally copy-paste it into your Kubernetes cluster. You change one thing, and you can deploy to Kubernetes. However,
wow, given the complexity of that, that's pretty
exactly.
Impressive.
We went above and beyond to look like Kubernetes, but we are absolutely not. It's a different implementation of the same specification.
Wow, that's impressive. Okay, cool. Well, when we sat down, I got very excited because you brought up one of my favorite conversations to be having right now. Inference is what makes AI real for the world, for most people. That experience, that instantaneous action, whatever that might be. Y'all are doing some really cool stuff with Cloud Run and inference. And I'm going to start with you. Can you tell us what's going on?
Yeah, I think this is where the intersection of serverless and value proposition really comes in for customers. Inference is where the money is going to be made. You spend all of your money on training, and you never get that money back. Where you sort of make that money back is on inference. And what we're seeing is actually there's a great market for inference across broadly the industry. So not just digital natives, but across the Fortune 500 and the blue chips, right? What is the big problem that people are struggling with inference and just Gen AI generally today? It's the cost. Right? They're very expensive hardware that you have to buy, and there's a capacity crunch. And so what we're seeing with our customers, and with customers generally speaking, is all of them are struggling to even just get supply of the cards, or the TPUs or GPUs, to be able to run their inference applications. And often, on a lot of our competitors, just broadly within the industry, when you want to run inference applications, you can't really get these cards on demand. Your cloud provider will ask you to sign like a 2 or 3 year contract, right, to reserve the cards because they're so scarce. And so this is, again, a great opportunity for Cloud Run, where we are actually today providing on-demand access to GPUs. And again, it's the same value proposition: scale up, dynamic, scale down, pay as you go, right, and pay per use.
Which is unique.
Which
just
is
to be super clear.
Which is extremely unique across the industry, and we're seeing really great uptake and growth with our customers.
I mean, who doesn't want that model? Yeah.
Sure, but we haven't talked about the performance yet. So, you might be used to request a virtual machine with a GPU and have to wait 10 minutes, 20 minutes. On Cloud Run, you get an instance with a GPU and the drivers installed, ready to serve in 5 seconds. And from zero, right, from nothing where you don't pay, in 5 seconds, you have your instance up with your GPU.
Wow.
And then the time for you to load the model, what we observe with like models like JMA2 9B is that you can go from 0 to you return the first word of the LLM in 20, 30 seconds. So that means that you can trust the autoscaler to be fast enough so that when your users are not using your API endpoint, you will not pay or pay less. But when you have a traffic spike, you can rely on that autoscaler to spin up GPUs on demand, extremely fast, to return that traffic of requests and prompts that you get.
That flexibility and elasticity is so critical right now. I mean, from a cost management perspective, from a productivity perspective, and frankly, realizing ROI and figuring out what you want. When something really works, you do want to ramp up like that. You don't want to have to deal with it. Wow. So had you been working on this? Well, let me phrase this a different way. How has our AI revolution accelerated or augmented the development of what you've been doing? Because I feel like this definitely would have put a lot of attention on that. You know, and I'll start with you again.
I think the biggest thing for us is to know that all of these. So let's go back to the fast starts, the cold starts for a second.
Yeah.
It is a prerequisite to have a serverless experience. If your app starting in 10 or 20 minutes, when there's a demand spike, you're actually causing outages for your customers, right? So it's important to note that the many years of innovation that we've built into the platform is really what's enabled us to ship serverless GPUs on Cloud Run really quickly. So we've been thinking about this for a long time, right? And sort of we started in earnest, I think, early last year, right? And so in a very short amount of time, right, we were able to ship this into our customers' hands. But again, that's because of all the innovation we've done in the previous years, right? And the investments there.
Yeah, it's the ecosystem and the building blocks that you already had as that foundation that allow you to provide those solutions for your customers. You mentioned that you're, and I love that we're all passionate about the actual results, not just the perceived results. You mentioned you have some customers you can share some narratives with us.
Yeah, so I think those customers, why do they even pick serverless GPUs with Google Cloud Run? It's often because they love the developer experience of Cloud Run, and as Yunong said, are looking for an efficient way to do AI inference. So the first customers who worked with us even before the feature was publicly available was L'Oreal. And L'Oreal built an internal AI chatbot and image generation system for their marketing. So basically, like L'Oreal marketing can use an internal, image generation so that it is tailored to the L'Oreal brand and aesthetics, and that's running on Cloud Run. And why do they pick it? Because their usage is for their own internal marketing team and employees. And during the night, everybody's at home, nobody's using it, and therefore they were looking for a scale to zero runtime. And that's what Cloud Run offers too. Right? So during the night, when most L'Oreal employees are at home, L'Oreal pays nothing. And when there is a spike of demand to generate those marketing images for L'Oreal products, this is where Cloud Run can scale on demand. So they were very helpful, giving us feedback as users, but also very proud. They were very proud to be on stage with us the day we launched serverless GPUs, because they were so happy to use it. And for them, they realized massive cost gains by scaling down, notably down to zero during trough, and being able to handle peaks with Cloud Run.
This also impacts the overall sustainability of these projects as well.
Oh yeah, interesting, because L'Oreal happens to be one of the customers who cares the most about sustainability. And yes, indeed. So fun fact, I actually founded and launched not only Cloud Run, but also Google Cloud Carbon Footprint, which allows you to monitor your carbon footprint of your Google Cloud usage. And what we observe is that due to Cloud Run's on-demand nature, you really are more efficient in your resource usage. If you have an idle machine, it will use maybe a little bit less of power than when it is active, but it is still attributed to you and reserved to you, while Cloud Run, due to its highly multi-tenancy and efficient nature, where you can literally only use what you need, you are more efficient, therefore more efficiently using energy and reducing your carbon footprint.
It makes total sense. I read somewhere recently that 25% of power usage is just things being plugged into the wall when we're not using them. And that goes for, I mean, machines. You don't have to be running, you don't have to be training a large model to have the power output. Obviously, that increases it. But just it existing, to your point, it is a huge chunk. And being able to cut that out doesn't even impact anything else. It's not like you're changing your behavior. You're just not wasting, which is really cool. Do you sleep, by the way? I mean, you founded a bunch of things at Google.
Yeah, I'm actually on the side, I'm a bit passionate about sustainability. My home runs on 100% solar power, of course.
I love that.
But also I was trying to look at how can we help our customers with that.
Yeah.
And by the way, the best way to lower your carbon footprint is to pick the right Google Cloud region. Like not every power grid is as green as the other. And L'Oreal, notably, they are running in Europe, where some of those regions are highly optimized in terms of carbon footprint.
Yeah.
I mean, I might just add the best way to reduce your carbon footprint in Google Cloud is to use Cloud Run, right? And it's the multiplexing, the multi-tenant nature of it, the fact that we hold a pool for customers and they scale up and scale down, we manage that capacity, ultimately is going to be the most sustainable way forward.
You reduce waste.
Yeah.
Well, and it makes so much sense, and also you don't want to have to think about that.
Yep.
I mean, becoming a power management expert isn't necessarily somebody needs to add to their AI transformation, but it's obviously one of the hugest things that people are thinking about when they're factoring in their expenses and everything else. You know, and you mentioned you had some other fun customer applications.
Yeah, and so this is maybe a little bit different, which is one of our customers that we're launching with, Vivo, so they're the third largest cell phone maker in the world, is moving most of their phone-based AI features on a Cloud Run. And what they've told us is AI for cell phone makers, for smartphone makers, is a life and death struggle for them, right? And that's how serious it is. If you think about the competitive nature across all of their competitors, if you don't have the new circle to search, if you don't have the magic eraser features, right? If you don't have text-to-speech, you don't have on-the-fly translation, those are the features now that customers care about. So really it is that life and death struggle for them. And for them, going to market is the #1 priority, right? Everyone's running thin teams. Everyone has tremendous market pressure to compete. And then this is where the two dynamics of Cloud Run, one, the fast time to market and the developer experience, right? The thing that I should only care about is developing my business logic, not managing the infrastructure, not figuring out how much capacity I need to use, right? Not managing any of that. And then secondly, right, how do I reduce my cost of deploying these features? Because now I'm deploying them to tens or hundreds of millions of customers in feature phones, right? If I were to provision for peak, that's extremely expensive, right? But also there's the environmental factors of it. So those two things really come together where Vivo, you know, after sort of we've talked to them about Cloud Run, one, they love the platform play at Google Cloud. So this is the other thing that I should mention is with Cloud Run, with serverless, it isn't just compute, right? Compute is useless by itself. But the platform play with our networking, with our VPC, with our storage, with our applications.
It's really the whole ecosystem, too, that surrounds it, not even just the actual solution there.
Yeah. And Cloud Run is fully compatible and fully integrated, right, with all of the Google Cloud platform components. And so it was very easy for Vivo to migrate their existing workloads, right, whether it's a magic eraser, whether it's translation, from where they were before onto Google Cloud Run. And we've seen them do that within the span of a few weeks, actually. So that transformation and that migration, it's just, this is what we were talking about. It's like that big myth of like, it only works for, 0 to 1. No, it does. It does work for 0 to 1, but it works for 1 to 100. It works for 100 to 1 million, right?
And let's explain why it was so fast. So you literally open up Google Cloud from scratch, click Cloud Run, and you can deploy the same container you were probably using on your old platform, and you can check the checkbox to get a GPU, and you have it. As I said, you deploy in a matter of seconds. And then
so
you get
simple. Like what I love about this is it allows you to scale. I mean, really exponentially adjust or tilt up, the nose of the aircraft or the rocket ship, depending on whatever you're building, and do it so simply. People talk about decreasing complexity in our world and containers in particular all the time. It's been the entire conversation around Kubernetes for the last 10 years. But the fact that you can literally do that.
Yeah, no cluster. You come and you migrate your workload because of this container standard, and it's all about productivity and time to market. Cloud Run enables your developers to be productive and your business to be fast.
And I think that's the advantage of Cloud Run and Google, right? We're not so maybe one of the other memes for serverless is lock-in, right? Where if you think about functions as a service, there's a very custom API that you write your applications to, right? And so one that requires customers to have to make code changes and migrate their applications. But then once you have, there's lock-in. Because for you to get off, you have to make code changes. And so our premise for Cloud Run is we don't want to win your business because we're trying to lock you in. We want to win your business with an open product because it's the best product for you. And so kudos to Steren and the team, but for keeping everything about Cloud Run open, right? The APIs, natively integrations with Terraform, the container standard means that you can very easily take any containerized application, put it on Cloud Run, and then just scale it up as you go.
But you know, those
awesome.
those performance and those GPUs, yes, they are quite differentiating and unique among the cloud providers. As I said, 5-second startup time, on-demand GPU, but that's not where we stop. We are not satisfied. Like, we will soon announce even better performance. So 5 seconds for us, it's slow. You know, we come from serverless. We are used to milliseconds, not seconds. So that's one thing that we are still working on improving that startup time. And the GPUs we offer today, we want to offer bigger ones. Of course, there are a large set of GPU types. Today, you can run many models on Google Cloud Run, but some of the biggest you can't yet. And we are looking forward to adding bigger GPU types, which hopefully will have the same kind of performance as the ones we have today.
Well, having spoken to you two, I suspect that will be the case, given your aspiration and drive to make it happen. I love to hear it. It would not be 2025 appropriate if we did not bring up agentic in this conversation. And I know that you've got some interesting things going on at Cloud Run and agentic. Steren, let's stay with you and get us started there.
Yeah, so here for the past few minutes, we've discussed AI inference. So that's really an auto-scaled service that will take, that will run an open source model that you can fine tune yourself or take an off-the-shelf model like Gemma, Llama, whatever. This is for the inference piece. But what we observe is customers using Google Cloud Run to build something bigger, which is AI agents. So I think we tend to put agentic and agents words on things that, from our perspective, we build a runtime. The needs of those types of agents are very similar to the needs of web applications, actually. So let me explain why.
Yeah.
Usually, your agent will use an orchestration framework. And last year, we were on stage with the LangChain founder. So LangChain is a very popular orchestration framework for agents. And he himself says Cloud Run is the best place to deploy your LangChain agent.
That's got to feel good.
Yeah, yes. and you know, it's easy to, when people love what you do and when you love what you do, what they do, because LangChain is one of the frameworks I would recommend if you want to build an agent which not only calls an inference endpoint. So by the way, this inference endpoint can be hosted on Cloud Run, but can be directly as a service. Like if you want to consume Gemini as a service from Vertex, that's the same from the perspective of the orchestration, the agent or the orchestration. But this agent orchestration framework will, prior to that, process the user input, enrich it with some context, maybe retrieve some more context from a database. That's something we call the RAG, so retrieval augmented generation. So you do all that before you call the model. And actually, nowadays, what we see is agents which are multi-agent, where you have one agent potentially branching to another one to do some different tasks or calling tools. And what we've observed is customers who will be with us at Cloud Next who have built code execution environments on Cloud Run. So if you think about it, the agent will generate some code on the fly, and then you will execute that code on Cloud Run too. Why? Because we haven't talked much about it, but every container on Cloud Run is strictly sandboxed. So you can run, like we run customers' code in that sandbox, but customers themselves can run untrusted code on that sandbox. So that means you can have an agent that orchestrates the user input, adds some more context via retrieval augmented generation, executes untrusted code via this sandbox, calls an LLM. What we observe people is also like generate, like browse websites. And like these agents become like quite complex and powerful. And we've observed, yeah, a few customers picking Cloud Run, again, for its characteristics of auto-scaling, on-demand, and developer productivity.
I believe that. So this transition, this new lens on agentic wasn't that big of a leap for what you were already doing.
No, I mean, the GPU, the AI inference was a big leap technically. And can go way deeper into why it was extremely hard and why we believe we have something very differentiating in terms of infrastructure. AI agents, from a technical standpoint, they look very much like an API, like where you have a database and some Python code that needs to execute. Potentially, the only differences are those like code execution environment, or maybe like asynchronous processing.
But what I would chime in is, even before we had GPUs, we had customers performing those sorts of use cases anyway already on Cloud Run, right? So it wasn't a leap, right, to be able to
that's sort of what I was
call them by another name. But certainly we had customers who were executing untrusted code within Cloud Run sandboxes. They just didn't have the GPU accelerators, right?
So customers have built a very popular dedicated chatbots for their brands that they expose to their users, and those have been benefiting from Cloud Run's auto-scaling when during some events. I cannot share much more details, but it's basically when you can imagine a sport event, and obviously everybody will interact with the chatbot at this exact same time, so you need a scalable runtime that will be able to handle that load. As Yunong said, we have customers doing like 2 million requests per second right away, and Cloud Run can scale to that. So your AI agent can scale to a spike of user prompts on Cloud Run.
This is like an anxiety reducer for anyone who works in tech. It feels like you're a bit of an antidote in that regard for when these moments do happen. Super impressive. Let's go back to the inference just for a second, because I would love to follow up on that. Why is what you've done so unique?
That's a good question. I believe, so why is it unique? Because of its unique performance and developer experience. But why are we leaders here, differentiating here? I would say because we've built on that extremely differentiating infrastructure, which is Google Cloud Run, running on Borg, highly optimized for startup time, and Yunong engineering team was really able to go even beyond by adding GPU support to that infrastructure. There's a lot of engineering innovation that have happened, and maybe you want to go deeper.
Yeah, maybe I can add to that. I think
Please.
First, from a serverless perspective, typically the economics of it are very hard for the cloud providers, because if you think about it, the base proposition is you don't pay upfront, you pay as you go, and you could spike to some number of instances that we don't know ahead of time. So typically you solve this by keeping like a large pool of instances around, sitting at idle, and then the cloud provider ends up eating the cost, right? And so where Google can really differentiate here is we keep going back to this thing called Borg. So Borg is, for those of you who don't know, is Google's own internal orchestration system for compute workloads. And that's what Kubernetes was inspired by, largely, right? But it runs at alphabet scale, right? So if you think about all of our properties, YouTube, search, maps, right, ads, et cetera, all of that runs on
a little bit
Borg.
of scale.
Just a little bit, right? You know, maybe the biggest scaling system in the world. But with that economy of scale, right, with that shared architecture, that is how we can enable the innovation at a cost basis that actually makes us a really profitable business, right? And so this is where you can see Google really innovate in this area. A lot of other players in this space, they're building this maybe on top of VMs or instances that don't have that alphabet scale that's going to help them provide the right value proposition for their own businesses to be able to put this out to the market. So that's one. But I think the second one really is around, fundamentally, we have a very strong business within Cloud Run, right? Obviously, we can't get into some of the numbers, but we've seen some really explosive growth in the last 5 or 6 years. It's a very strong business, really strong revenue, really strong margins. And so obviously when a business is doing well, we want to continue to invest there, right? And so by far, I think those are the two reasons: the technical innovation, the economics of it, but also the success of the business. And so we want to really double down here. And AI gives us a really good place. It's a really good moment in time for us to continue that serverless revolution, right? Because as we talked about, a lot of these businesses, they really don't have the time to tinker around with their platform teams, to build platforms. They have to go now. It's a life and death struggle.
And by
for
the
a lot
time
of
they
them.
do it, it'll be time to do it again.
Yes.
You'll
Yes.
never catch up with the velocity we're moving right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why they really see that value proposition, even more than traditional compute workloads, because
Yeah.
they've never had these platform teams to manage GPUs. Some of them can't even get GPUs, right? And all they got tons of downwards pressure from their board saying, when is the next agent shipping? When is the next Gen AI feature shipping, right? And so that is such a great fit for Cloud Run.
It really sounds, I mean, I feel like you've convinced me that everyone should be using Cloud Run at this point, because it just doesn't make any sense not to do it a different way for so many different reasons. I'm not surprised you're delighted.
Definitely give it a try for the audience, for yourself.
Yeah.
As I said, it is. We have quick starts. We can link them on the video.
Oh, we absolutely
Definitely,
should. We
like
definitely will.
Like as I said, you open up Google Cloud, you follow, and in just 3-5 minutes, you will have your agent up and running. You will have your AI inference endpoint up and running with a GPU.
And it's production ready.
To share
Just to be clear, it's not it's production ready.
Right.
You can scale up right away. But when you don't scale up right away, it doesn't cost you anything.
Yep. So
Right?
for development and exploration perspective, you will basically stay below the free tier. But when you need it to scale, it will scale to production levels, like millions of requests per
It's
second.
really
if
great to
needed.
be able to play like that and to learn, especially with everything that's going on. Google is always known for caring about the developer experience as well, so it does not surprise me.
It's hard work.
Yeah.
I tell you, among those, like since this
Yeah.
like 2018
Yeah,
date, it is a lot of passion and craft for building something that we know developers love, and it's rewarding to see the feedback from the developer community. Cloud Run leads Google Cloud's developer satisfaction numbers. It has amazing, usability. We measure usability, or a third party measures the usability over like all the big clouds, and we are always coming up at the top. We've published those numbers in the past. But even internally, when we measure ease of use, task success, and just satisfaction, like CSAT,
yeah.
Cloud Run is at the top of Google Cloud.
Well, congrats on that, too. I bet that feels good. I bet you're excited to see everyone who uses it at Google Cloud Next here in a few weeks, too. It's a fun time. All right, Yunong, I have one. Well, I got a little bit more questioning for you, but I have one for you in particular. You really strike me as someone who's no BS, and I like that a lot. What do you think are some of the myths around agentic right now, especially like we were talking about with this hyped conversation? I mean, you were essentially already doing a lot of this, and now we just have a term we're using for it.
Yeah, maybe it's like the old Shakespearean thing, or it rolls by any other name. I think agentic is just a term meant to describe the use case of traditional inference workloads, right? So I have these agents, they perform some functions for me, right, that I can chain them together. And it's a term it's helpful. It's helpful for us to group them into a specific category in terms of use case. But ultimately, I think the thing that we should realize at the end of the day is like, what is the value that they're providing to the customer, right? And I think therein is where the value, we could actually unlock the value for customers.
I just want you to be like louder for the folks in the back. I feel like that's the one thing I keep asking everyone. Well, what's the value? What's the thing? What's the there? What's going to make this better, or how does this make the world more sustainable, or whatever that might be?
And it's very clear that it has to solve concrete problems, right? And they're usually among a few axes. But first of all, are they generating actual value for customers, right? And there are some examples that we see out in the world where, hey, I have an agent, it does something. Does it solve a problem? Does it solve a pain point for customers? Does it streamline things? Does it make things easier? Now, there are lots of agents out there that do that, which is awesome, right? But there are also lots of agents there that doesn't necessarily do that. And so we're still very early days, and folks are all experimenting, which is great to see, right? I think the second level of that is like, do these agents help to provide better ROI for their businesses, right? And so it may not provide more value for customers, right? And you think about customer service agent, maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But on the back end, it's replacing thousands of manual steps for customers, right? And therein, I think, is also where a lot of the value comes in. And I'm excited to see what happens over the next few years as we build the ecosystems around agents, right? So you're not innovating from scratch. You're not proposing.
That's where I think it's going to start to get interesting.
Right.
Yeah,
and
that's where you'll save some money, I think.
Exactly. And I think, again, Cloud Run is one of the best places to go run these and build these agents, because at the end of the day, it's inference via GPU. And sometimes it's a lot of inference by a lot of different agents together. And the other thing that we haven't talked about is where Cloud Run really shines is lots of different services all working in concert together, and the ease of management of those services, because you're not managing the infrastructure. So it's trivially easy for you to create new revisions, new projects, new services, and string them all together. And then again, therein, you can have a very small, thin team, potentially build 20, 30, 40 agents, and not have to maintain the infrastructure there, right? And so that cost of scale and sort of that time to market really accelerates with Cloud Run.
The little kid nerd inside me is getting very excited thinking about this, because you think of how many things will be enabled by that kind of innovation ecosystem. It becomes a different game to create when these things will unlock.
As an agent builder, deploying to Cloud Run really frees yourself from having to worry a lot about operations. Many customers or individual builders deploy to Cloud Run and then don't have to do anything for it to run.
I mean, how glorious,
We take care of the security updates, we take care of the infrastructure upgrades, and it's all about trusting Google Cloud Run for doing the operations for you so that you can focus on cooking your AI agent. And we know this field is going extremely fast. So the last thing you want to do is setting up infrastructure.
And I would take that even a step further, which is if Google is your SRE, we will probably do a better job of it than most people, and then yourself included, right? And so you're getting better service without having to worry about any of that. And really, where I really would like to see the industry shift, and I think we see that especially in the AI space, is focus on the thing that generates value for your customers. And that's the business logic. For almost all businesses, that's your business logic. It isn't running infrastructure. Leave that to us, right? We'll help you with that.
Oh, yeah. No, let everyone do what they're best at and what they have a seasoned history of doing. Okay, last technical question before a little bit of a fun round here at the end. What do you wish, if you could wave a magic wand, and the whole market, everyone, maybe even your families, knew something about inference that they don't currently know now? What do you wish you could tell them? Yunong, I'm going to start with you.
I think the thing that I would tell folks around inference is that at the end of the day, it's not magic or rocket science. It's actually quite simple if you look underneath the hood, right? It's a bunch of vectors and linear algebra. And so my encouragement of everyone else is go try building your own inference applications. There's lots of really great frameworks out there that helps to abstract all of that complexity away, right? So LangChain, Ollama, VLM, some of these folks we partner very closely with. Stay tuned for Google Next, where we'll have some exciting announcements there. But literally anyone can go out with a little bit of background in software and build your own inference applications. And it's incredibly easy to go do that. So don't be afraid of what you think is the complexity beneath it, because the industry is fastly moving towards, the sort of the intersection of, like, say, Ollama plus Cloud Run means that anyone who can write a little bit of Python or JavaScript can immediately start deploying an inference application themselves.
I love that. That was a really great soundbite there. Very good motivational line too. Steren?
I think we should really add to the picture the open models that we have seen since Llama, right? And who would have predicted that AI inference was going to go from very proprietary APIs to a flourishing ecosystem of open models, which are pushing everyone forward. And so this is where those open models, you can take them off the shelf. You can actually tweak them for your business, for your specific needs, either by fine-tuning or by doing LoRa adapters. And then you can run them very easily. Like, we've partnered, I really want to say that name again, with Ollama. I believe Ollama is the simplest way to run those open models on your local machine, but obviously also on Cloud Run. It is literally, you take the official Ollama container, you tell it which model you want, you put that model in Google Cloud Storage. As Yunong said, very close integration between Google Cloud Storage and Cloud Run. That means your open model can be loaded into Cloud Run very easily and with high performance. And Ollama, all you have to do is deploy it to Cloud Run, and then you have your own AI that you've built yourself. The first time I did it, it felt strange because I'm talking to a computer, to my local computer or to my Cloud Run service. It's not like a company-owned thing. No, I did it. Like, it's my own little AI that I can talk to, and that felt strange when this AI returned me some words. It was the first time a computer was talking to me at that level of proficiency, and more importantly, a computer that I had deployed on my own infrastructure, on Cloud Run.
I bet that was actually, I mean, it felt weird. I bet it felt pretty cool and exciting too. Those are those little magical moments where you really do get to see what your customers are experiencing too all the time. I can only imagine what it's like for them to have that moment too. You're like, oh wow, it works.
Yeah, I think the barrier of entry has really come down, and that intersection of great developer tooling, so Olama and Cloud Run, but then the democratization of access to GPUs. So if you're some indie developer, as an example, for you to get access, I encourage you to try to go on any cloud provider and try to get a VM of a GPU. It is incredibly difficult, right? Because of the lack of supply, but also the cost. And so that barrier of entry is super high.
Yeah.
And what we're really trying to do with Cloud Run, with some of our partners, is for anyone out there, it is trivially easy, right, for you to get access to GPU, but also be able to deploy your open source or your own models onto the cloud. Right? And so again, we want to use that as sort of the way to sort of really accelerate innovation in this space as well.
Oh yeah. I hope that when we are at next, maybe we can talk about some of those examples of some of the smaller teams, because I do think that's very interesting. And the term democratization gets a little abused from time to time, but I think in this case, when you do have the capacity for smaller teams to have the same toolkit as the biggest companies in the world for free to begin, that's quite compelling when it comes to access. And we'll make sure that we put a bunch of links in the comments below so that people can do exactly what you're describing. I want to close this on a note I was not anticipating closing us on today. I could have talked to you guys all afternoon. We're going to talk about fashion. You don't always talk about fashion here in Techland, but I think we absolutely should. Steren, I just got to give a shout out. I came in right away and I complimented your shirt today. Who made that shirt?
That shirt was made by my wife. And that's the shirt I actually always wear when I'm on stage or doing interviews. It's not the exact same one. I've had many of them.
Do you wash it? No,
but it's, yes. But it's also, like, I love it so much. I started to wear it on stage at Google I/O years ago. And now it has become my stage attire. So every time my wife asks me, what do you do? What do you want for Christmas? Like, the same shirt. And I had many of these.
I love that.
And now it's also great because when I have to dress for today's interview, I don't think. I know what I'm wearing. It's always the same shirt that I love that my wife made. And it's a gradient shirt, so quite hard to make. Demands a lot of time and a lot of craft.
How many are you up to now? How many do you have?
I have the next one already, but this is the third one, I believe.
Oh, I love this. And what's your wife's name?
Anne.
And so shout out to you, Anne. I am very impressed with your crafts. If you ever want to outfit anyone here at theCUBE, we would love to wear your creation. Steren is really killing it. And it just looks great. And I also like that that's how you don't think. Most people would look at a multi-hued gradient shirt and be a little intimidated by that from a fashion perspective. And I love how for you, you're like, oh yeah, I'll just throw it on. This is what I wear when I go on stage. It's absolutely awesome. Yunong, you've also got some interesting fashion perspectives. There's an article of clothing you really hate wearing. You want to tell us about your no sock life?
Yeah, I don't wear socks. I haven't worn socks in quite some time, essentially since I moved to California. The weather's nice. I grew up in Canada, where
I was wondering if you grew up somewhere cold. That was going to be one of my questions. I figured that had to be a little bit. You had to free the feet.
Yeah, exactly. And it's very freeing. You don't have to wear socks. I'm big into Crocs, and you can't see them, but I've got them on right now. There are some more fashion-forward Crocs that you can even wear to customer meetings and sort of fly.
Do you have business Crocs? Is that actually
fly stealthily by? They're black. They're dark. You have long enough pants. It doesn't even show that you're not wearing socks.
Do you have the little Croc charms on your business Crocs?
Those my kids take away. So unfortunately, those don't quite make it. But if you travel a lot, not having to pack socks actually frees you up to have more space in the luggage as well. And so on the top of being carbon neutral, or sort of not wearing socks, not buying socks, not having to wash socks, sort of puts you in the game for a little bit doing better in the carbon world.
I love that y'all are thinking about sustainability all the way from crafting fashion to lower carbon emitting sock habits. You know, and Steren, this has been absolutely fantastic. Honestly, you guys are great. I can see why Bobby wanted us to hang out. There's been more smiles and giggles than I was expecting, but there has been as much learning as I was expecting. So thank you both for taking the time. Seriously.
Thanks for having us. Give a try to Cloud Run yourself, the audience.
Oh, I'm gonna go build
all
some
of those
stuff.
things. We are very proud to have built this and share it with the world.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here. Had a great time, and
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be back at some point as well.
You will absolutely be back, and you will definitely see me at Google Cloud Next. Hopefully, I'll have a story of something I played with or built, or have questions for you on that journey. And thank all of you wherever you might be tuning in on this beautiful rock. We're here at theCUBE's Palo Alto studios in California. My name's Savannah Peterson. You're watching theCUBE, the leading source for enterprise tech news.